So put all of those things together and you will liberate yourself from a very common obstacle that shackles many people into staying stuck in the place that they always were, and I don't want that for you. We're out here on a fallen down tree log. So the minute that you take a step outside of your box of normality and start to pursue a new path, something that's on your heart, something that you want to do, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to face some negative feedback from people in your life, whether it be family, friends, colleagues, members of your community. There's nearly always negative pushback. And this can be an obstacle to change. It can be a force that actually holds you back from living a life on your own terms. It can be a force that holds you back from pursuing what's on your heart. And unless we learn to process the emotion, process this event, and not let it hold us back, it can be the catalyst and the cause of a lot of what ifs. You know, in like 20, 30 years, like, oh, what if I just did that? What if I just did that? What if I just pursued this? You know, you don't want negative feedback to be the reason that you have those what ifs. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how I've learned to process the negative emotions from people in my life, how I've helped clients do the same thing, and how to really deal with what is almost guaranteed, because as soon as you do something, or even the notion of wanting to do something, it can draw negativity. For example, you want to start a new business and somebody in your family's like, oh, well, you know, Rod, he started a business and he went bankrupt and now he lives in a bin. You don't want that. It's so risky. Or you're like 34 and you're in a job that you hate. You're on the wrong career path and you know it, and you want to pivot, switch lanes, and people are like, oh, that'll be taking a step backwards. You'll make less money. You don't want that. You've got a secure job. Just stay where you're at. Or you want to do something physically challenging, like run a marathon or a triathlon or an Ironman or whatever it is, and they'll be like, oh, it's just so much work. I don't think that's really for you. I don't think you should do that. Or you want to start making a YouTube channel, start producing content. People are like, oh, your voice. Oh, nobody's going to listen to that voice. Oh, who's going to listen to your channel? There's no point doing that. Whatever it is, there's nearly always negativity when you go outside of the box. So let's talk about how to deal with it. Firstly, I want to come at this from the emotional response, because whenever there is an external event, we have the ability to react with whichever emotion that we have the capacity to choose in that moment, and this requires training. And early in my journey to self-sovereignty and living on my own terms outside of the box, anger was an emotion that really served me, and it's an emotion that has served many of my clients too. And in this world that we live in, anger is, I think, avoided and not encouraged, and it's definitely not the most optimal emotion, which I'll get to in a minute, but it can be the catalyst for change. So if you feel the negativity, you see it and experience it, and anger is the response that your subconscious mind gives you, your body gives you, I'm an advocate for just flowing with that. Get angry at the situation. Get angry that they're not supporting you. Get angry enough to that you want to do the work to prove them wrong. And this can be like lighter fuel. It can get the fire started. But the caveat is, it is like lighter fuel. And anger is not going to sustain you unless you want to live an angry life. And that comes with many side effects. Pain, stress, loss of relationships. So just like a fire, you only use the lighter fuel to get it going. You don't run the fire on lighter fuel. You have to transcend out of it and use a different fuel source, which is a new emotion. But if anger serves you, give yourself the permission to get angry and operate from that place, at least in the early stages of experiencing the negativity. After anger, there are obviously really infinite emotions we could choose, but ultimately what we're aiming for is to come at this problem from a place of love. And if you can do that, if you can transcend all the way up the emotional scale to love, you're going to feel so much liberation from the negativity. It's going to be amazing. It's going to change your entire world, but you have to learn how to love. You have to learn how to love the negativity, and that can be difficult. What helped me understand this and learn to love it is what I've shared with clients and I'm going to share with you. So, firstly, it's the understanding that the people who are showing you negativity are doing so from a hardwired biological place. So we are very social animals. We live in packs, tribes, and before the world that we live in, the modern world now, if you were to leave the pack, if you were to leave the tribe, typically ended in death. Eventually. Maybe some suffering first, but death eventually. So your pack members that are your family, your unit, if they see you leaving the pack or taking action or even talking about potentially taking action, they don't want you to do that because they want the best for you. They want you to stay safe. They want you to stay okay. And therefore they respond in a way that they think will keep you in the pack. And that's why it can sound like negativity, but we have the ability to paste on whatever emotion or however we interpret it. So for me, it changed a lot when I interpreted it as, oh, they actually care about me. They actually love me. They want to see me win. They're just scared. They're just in fear of what's going to happen if I leave the pack, if I change. They don't know what's going to happen. So holding this true in my heart allowed me to start to find love for these people who had shown me negativity. It opened the door to that because I was like, oh, they love me. I love them. So that's the first way, is to understand that they are biologically wired for it. And secondly, is to understand that we are all mirroring each other and we see reflections of ourselves in other people all the time. So if you start to change and you're brave and you're courageous and you step outside the box and start to pursue what's on your heart, everybody that's in your tight circle especially is going to see the reflection of themselves in you that isn't taking that action. And that can cause them to feel sad, fearful, anxious, frustrated, annoyed at themselves for not doing what they want to do. And how do they respond to that? They try to make you stop doing what you're doing so they stop seeing the reflection. Do you see? Do you understand? So if you take these two truths as truths in your heart, you can start to operate from a place of love for the negative emotions that they're giving you, because they're doing it out of survival and out of avoidance of them doing the work. But it's on you to actually choose that and raise your emotional intelligence to the point where you can entertain that. And if you're not there yet, anger can serve you until you get to that point, because then you can replace anger, the lighter fuel, for love, which is the eternal fuel. It never runs out. It's like the coals that never get cold, the coals that never burn out. That is what love is. So you can do that. So that's how I would deal with this on the emotional side. And on the strategical side, the actual actions you can take, I would encourage you to firstly set very, very clear boundaries of what you will and won't tolerate in your reality. So, for example, when I first started to pursue playing poker as a career, I made it very clear to my friends and family that I did not want to discuss results. Win or lose, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to talk about that. You can ask me how I played. You can ask me how the session went, but I'm not going to give you numbers, and don't expect me to tell you. Either way, that was a boundary that I set. So in your life, with your change, you need to set the boundaries. Nobody else is going to come and do it for you. And if you don't have boundaries, people can trample all over you. And this is true for many aspects of life, but especially if you're starting to change and you're a little bit vulnerable and you're pursuing something new. It's like a little seedling. If you don't have boundaries around that seedling and the rabbits come in, start crushing it, well, who's to blame? Is it the rabbits for doing what they do, or is it you for not being clear on setting boundaries? So set very clear boundaries of what you will and won't tolerate. And that then leads into strategic step number 2 is, if people breach your boundaries, you get to decide how many chances that they get. Because it could be that you have a zero tolerance policy. That's for you to decide. If you're very vulnerable, maybe you've been through this a few times, you've tried to change, you've tried to pursue what's on your heart, and you feel like you don't have many chances left. Maybe you have a zero tolerance policy where you set the boundaries, you tell people, you communicate, and if they breach it, they're out. You cut them. They're done. They're not in your reality. You leave the group. You don't entertain the communication with them. That's for you to decide. It could be, me personally, I have a very lackadaisical tolerance now because my love is so strong for most people that if they step over my boundaries, I have the ability to hold them and just understand that they're really doing it from a place of fear and pain. So I usually have like a 3-time policy. But after that, if they breach it, it's over. They're done. I move on. I leave the group. I change the environment. And you have to do that. This is your responsibility to action on the boundaries that you set. So that's number 2, is get clear on your boundaries. And I want to touch on here that some of the less emotionally developed male red pill dudes on YouTube will tell you to do this step first, and they'll be like, just cut everybody, dude. Fuck your family, fuck your friends, fuck people from your old life. You don't need them anymore. You're new. You're red pilled now. And they'll tell you to cut them straight away, but you're obviously welcome to do so. But I think that is a very silly thing to do, because you're cutting ties with unconditional love, you're cutting ties with resources, you're cutting ties with people who care about you. I just don't think that's the way, without offering them a chance to operate within your boundaries. Because if you set them and they stay within them, why would you cut them? Because you can all grow together. And thirdly, I would encourage you to put yourself in the environments that actually stimulate growth, that actually make you feel good, that have the inverse effect of negativity, positivity, that bring you up. And these communities can be very easily found on the internet. We have one on this channel. You can find the link in the description for that. But put yourself into the right fertile soil for positive growth and change. So to recap, if you put all of these parts together, if you can learn to cultivate love for the negativity that they are showing you and understand why they are doing it, and interpret it that way, because you have the ability to do so. You can interpret anything that's around you in a way that empowers you. So if they're showing you negativity, you can tell yourself it's because they love me, it's because they care. So you do that, and then you set very clear boundaries, and you can cut people if they're not up to your self-set standard. And then you put yourself in the right environment very quickly, within the matter of hours of doing all of this. And it may take you a few days to cultivate the love. It may take you a week, 2 weeks, however long it takes. I mean, if you're operating from anger, so be it. But if you take these steps, the negativity shown from other people will not hold you back. It will dissolve. It will be gone. And remember that you cannot solve the problem with the same energy that created it. So if the people in your life are offering you negativity from a place of fear and anger and pain, you cannot solve that problem with fear, anger, and pain. You have to transcend. You have to change the energetic signature into something new. You have to transmute it. So you do that with love. And you do that with clear boundaries set from a place of love. And then you put yourself in communities and environments of more love and more empowerment. You do all of that, and you will never be held back by the obstacle of other people's negativity when you are pursuing new things. Because if you are a creator, which you are, and you are constantly shaping this reality to serve your inner desires and what's on your heart, you're going to be going through this process over and over and over again. So you have to learn these skills to not let the negativity keep you trapped in the story that you may have always been in. So put all of those things together, and you will liberate yourself from a very common obstacle that shackles many people into staying stuck in the place that they always were, and I don't want that for you. So let me know in the comments what you found valuable in this video. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching this and taking the time, and the world will be a whole lot better if we can all collectively do this and eliminate and dissolve the impact of negativity and fear, because we can then all live from a place of love and joy. Wouldn't that be amazing? Thanks for watching. Stay free and live as the king you are meant to be, and I'll see you next time. Much love. Peace.